I'm not seeing recording here.
So it's recording right there. Welcome to this meeting is called to order of the Lisle Township January 4th Budget Committee meeting with a 708 board component. So we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we'll start with the roll call.
Sure. Trustee Page,
Yes, here.
Trustee McGovern, Trustee Robinson, Supervisor Hewitt,
Here.
Assessor Trowbridge,
Here.
Highway Commissioner Young.
Here.
I do remember all your names. Attorney Wazaki.
Yep.
And then here myself. Everyone who is here, if you, before you leave, if you would make sure that you sign in the sign-in sheet. That's right. Yeah. Thanks.
And then on the Zoom audience, we have this one is Debbie Polowitz, and then we have Audrey Burris and Linda Nader, our accountant. Thank you. Okay, then we have we will go then next to the public comment online, which I expect to be shorter than the public comment in person. And so here we have the public comment. I'm just going to refresh this to make sure we're absolutely up to date, and we have 0 responses online. But in person, do we, and I know there's some 2-minute pitches coming up from the 708 applicants. Is there any other public comments that anyone wants to make in person? Okay, wonderful. Then we'll go over the initial presentation of our 23-24 budget and appropriations. And I'm going to share my screen to make sure that I'm sharing with the Zoom audiences and everybody here. And so everybody has 2 different documents in their hand. One says 2022 and 23, and then the other one says 23 and 24. And so in the main way you can tell the difference is the 2022 has a bunch of yellow. Welcome. We're thank you for helping. The 2022-2023 has some highlights. And so that's how you can easily see the difference. And then the 2023-2024 has another column with a difference. So you can see that shows the difference. And as we go through, there's some major continuities, and we'll go through the similarities and the big pieces. Most of this is inflationary. And so you can see like nominal differences in costs that amount to about 5 to 7%. And so when you see on the right hand side, you can see the addition or the subtraction from last year from our budget then. And so I'm going to highlight some of the differences. We realized that there isn't as much of a need for building maintenance as we had previously estimated. So we have 25,000 less in that. We've added some contingencies because basically in the past we didn't have any built in. This makes sure that we don't have to amend a budget in the future. One of the bigger pieces that we've been talking about spending has been capital improvements. And this fully funds the our community building center project. And so that's why there's the $1,896,000 piece here. Other pieces here are that we realize that we think that there's going to be a need is whether it's changes in IMRF, understanding of where we're at with that. Going down here, the 1400s is the assessor's budget, and the 1600s comes back to our budget. In the administration, as you can see, there's a increase in administration. We're needing to outsource some of our HR to fully staff ourselves. We're making sure that in this cost is our accounting to make sure that we're creating best practices and creating a really strong fiscal perspective. I just admitted another audience member. And then coming down here is one of the major increases, as you can see, is printing and publishing. What this entails is the idea of having 3 printed newsletters at about 15,000 per, and then allowing for advertising for some of our new services, whether that's going to be our transportation options or some of our improved services like senior services and passports. So if you keep going down, these are all nominal differences. One of the pieces here is $10,000 in increase in computer program. And that's because we've needed to really update a variety of different pieces of our infrastructure. From an IMRF perspective, from a legal perspective, this is an increase needing to happen because we've had to create best practices in a variety of different ways in the township legally. We have to budget for at least 15 to 20,000 for a foundation attorney. We need to also budget for past legal bills. So that is where we came up with this number. Going down insurance wise, we're going up a bit in insurance because we're having more employees. One of the pieces that I just realized I went by a little fast on was the income. We've really looked at in this current year in 2023, 2024, we're looking at cross-training in a variety of different ways so that we can increase our income in transportation, in passports, and we do one thing called LIHEAP, which is it helps low income energy assistance. And so it's something where we actually earn money from the county for. And so these three pieces are going to come together in addition to offsetting some of our costs with additional employees. So when we keep going down through here, the next bigger piece in here is our salaries here. And the piece that has increased as well is that we're planning to get 2 drivers for the transportation system that we're planning to roll out in the next 2 months. And then as well as we put on, and we're adding this to our website, but we're hiring a director of senior services for the need to have better senior services here in the township. So that's where the salary fund number comes from. From a contingency of mental health, the reason why there's a $35,000 increase here is because we expect that the 708 board, once it's created, is going to need some startup funds. We also expect that we're going to need, it's a grant that usually tends to, a loan essentially that after a year going, then they tend to pay back the township. But you all are going to need money to get started. And we fully anticipate that we'll need to loan you money to get started. And then that gets loaned back to the township a year later. So that's one of the things that we've been working with the Illinois Association of Mental Health, ACME, of mental health boards, and they've alerted us to the need to budget for this. Then in website expenses, there's a variety of things that we need to improve in our website, and making sure that we have the professional help to do that is going to be helpful. Next, going down here, we've increased our mosquito potential budget outlay by 12,500. And that's in case there was a bad season, we would then have the money for 2 sprays as that are previously negotiated rates. So that's why there's an increase. This past year, just so you know where we're at, we've spent less than $5,000 on mosquito control. From a transportation perspective, we do realize that this past year has been inordinately low in transportation costs. For a variety of different reasons, they have been making more accurate, I would like to say, their billing. It's been a long process that the county board has helped us facilitate, that the PACE itself has helped us facilitate, but it's taken some time to both adjust to pre-COVID numbers, meaning that less people wanted to use services, and then we've been adjusting therein in a variety of different ways. But we do expect that this is going to increase. So then the Community Career Center, it was really more of a $10,000 chain addition. So in the past, we had 15,000 in our previous budget, so we lowered it by 5,000. And then one of the lessons of this past year is that general assistance has been a lot more, we've needed to budget higher for that, especially in rental assistance and the need. So you can see the difference in the GA budgeting is right here. And all of these are very small increases when you look at that. So that's the current 2023-2024 budget, and we're expecting to then, I'm sure, talk within the board and continue to discuss things throughout this next week and make sure that, for example, we're adding in all expenditures that needed to be added in. And so we've gone through this with understanding where we're at with our current budget cycle, meaning how much we've spent. Understanding that Linda has really helped us pinpoint where we're at in our budget cycles, shall we say, with regards to actual versus projected. And so we're more able to predict the future. And then we want to open this up to questions.
The budget that you handed out, is that the original budget that was approved?
So there's two that we're looking at. Which one?
2022-3. Was that the approved and filed copy with the,
Yes, sir.
it was? The numbers don't agree to what's on the list.
So well, we can,
I mean, what you got on the website, what was approved on the dates indicated, I think.
this was pulled directly from the website. So
This is filed March 17th, 2022, and it is on the website under the approved budget.
this is the amended, this is what I'm talking about. And this is, again, at the top, it says tentative amended budget. So this is the one that we will approve on the 30th.
Okay.
So it has not
That
been,
date where you say that it was filed in March of 22, that's when.
so that apparently needs to be updated.
There's several of them.
Yeah, if you compare it back to the original budget, I mean, if you look at the one that was filed with the court, and that's the existing budget that we have, I think, with the contract.
So this is,
Correct?
and here's the thing, to be super clear, is this is the amended budget. So I didn't print out the existing budget that we were already amending.
But
So
it
if you're,
hasn't been formally amended yet.
no, and so this is,
Okay.
so to be clear, that's what I've been discussing.
Well,
However, there's a couple, you're saying like rent, you're saying it's plus 21,000, but you're also saying it's going to be amended to 176,000, where it really is rent is 45,000.
Okay, so where all of these numbers are coming from. And so Linda, would you like to chime in as to where all of these came from?
So the numbers for the revenue or the expense part of things?
Yes, it is.
No, it's a public meeting, not a public hearing.
is there going to be a public hearing?
There will be a public hearing. So the public hearing for the amended budget is scheduled for January 30th. So later this month. And the public hearing for the budget for the next fiscal year, which begins April 1st of 23, is for the second Wednesday in March. And off the top of my head, I don't remember but
March 8th.
March 8th, thank you. So that will be when the public hearings are for these budgets. So this is just an initial workshop so the board can get some exposure and get some questions answered.
So you want comments now or at the hearing?
That's up to you. We've closed public comment, but if Supervisor Hewitt wants to, take something from the public, that's fine, or we can move to the hearing. That's entirely up to.
So what I've opened this up for is
Okay.
for the board and for, frankly, for the public as well. If you wish to have some comments now, that's fine as well.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that Linda, can you speak? I mean, I think this is on your end.
Yes, now, the rental assistance, is that the question?
Linda, speak again. We're having a lot of trouble hearing you, so if you could just talk for a minute, or so we can fix the volume.
Okay, let's see if I can do anything on my end. I have my volume up. Can you hear or no?
No, not really. And I know, but it's not adjusting. Linda, can you please speak?
Yes.
Is
Can you hear
that-
me now?
Okay, no.
I have my volume up all the way high on my mic.
And so do I. How about now?
Can you hear me any better?
No. Okay, so when you took out these numbers, were you looking at the amended 2023, 2022, 2023 budget?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so to be clear, the difference in what we were talking about is the amended 2022, 2023 budget.
Yes.
Okay, any other comments? Or questions? Okay, sure. Mr. Trulis.
You said you need to change your ordinance number. You adopted in 23.
Agreed. Well, yeah. It was, it's tentative in that it was, drafted in 22, but I will make a notation.
Is this budget incorporating the mental health board anticipated budget?
No, because it would likely not need funds in the months of January, February, and March.
Is the capital improvements spent yet? The 2.1 in here?
Nothing has been spent on that development.
What were you planning on spending the 2.1 now?
So we've been talking on a monthly basis about the development of a community center where the previous supervisor's office was, that was destroyed by mold.
That does not include is the mental health board planning on building a building, or would this be for them also?
I am pretty sure that the mental health board doesn't exist yet. And so I'm not sure that how they could be creating or planning on having a building when they don't exist yet. Okay, any other questions?
I do have a question. And you started talking about it. There's a difference of income by quite a bit. So the passport exec fee, we're expecting to make 35,000 instead of the 3,000 that was budgeted for last year.
Yes.
How is that going to be that different?
So in the past, there was not cross training. In the current form and in the future, there's cross training to a level that's never been done. So the receptionist, there's going to be 8 people that know how to do passports. So in the past, there was 2 people that didn't have the ability to do as many passports as could be done.
So have we turned people away in the past?
Yes. There was an unmet need that has never been fulfilled.
And then the other, I mean, all of them. So last year, the budget said 16,000 for refunds and recoveries.
So that's in LIHEAP.
That's
And
all in line.
that is because we've not in the past trained anybody but one person to do this. And now our current staff, we have 4 people that are trained in with a potential of 6 to 7 people trained to do this. So in the past, there's been a 3 to 4 month wait for LIHEAP appointments. And now we expect that they're and now our wait is down to hardly a day.
They were actually not accepting LIHEAP for quite a few months.
Yes.
So, okay, and then the personal property tax for, I mean, these are legit questions. 65,000 was last year, and we're saying that we're going to make 136,000 this year.
So all of these have been gone through with our accountant to make sure that these are realistic and understandable adjustments to our income. And yes,
It seems ambitious. That's all. These are great increases. That's my only.
and so the reason why we've understood those increase in those abilities to get those increases is because we're cross-training in a way that we've been attempting and planning to, and now we're able to then see the rewards of cross-training, and we're able to hire in a way that we have not had the chance to do so.
Any other trustees have any questions or comments?
Okay, then, moving on to discussion and possible action to the modified schedule for the 2022-2023 budget cycle. So in there, there's a page with titled Fiscal Year 2024 budget cycle schedule. And so the main change is at the very bottom, January 30th, 2023, there's a another proposed budget hearing with the ordinance, and that's for the 2022-23 budget and appropriation. So that's there.
You expect the road district to follow these guys as well.
Yes, sir.
Would have been nice if you would have had you just read it.
So I'm surprised that that notification didn't go out. I'm pretty sure I sent a notification to all the board members.
And I didn't get it till Monday, till I missed.
Okay, well, if we look on the website, everything is always posted on our website days before. So if we look at our Lisle Township website and we just look here under 3 different places, under documents, under board meetings, you can see that, for example, the January 11th packet is up and ready to go.
It's in there now.
And the January 4th and everything else is always an easy place to go visit, is right there. So please feel free.
You should check the website.
There's going to be,
Notify us of the meeting.
so we've been pretty short-staffed, and we've been training a whole lot of people in the last few weeks, and we've also had some holidays, so I apologize that that email didn't get to you personally, and I'm showing that frankly anyone in the public can always see where we're at with our packets and where everything is. Okay, so
Sorry, do you have an issue with because my understanding is that you're not amending your appropriations ordinance for the prior year. So this would only, the proposed schedule for the fiscal year 2024 would be the only one that would change for you. Is there any problems with this schedule?
Not that I'm aware of, but I didn't get noticed about it until today, late this afternoon, because I was on food.
Okay, well, I mean, you're out of town,
Usually
we
you
can't.
get notice, the public notice had to be published at least 48 hours before.
Yes, it was published on Friday.
So at least it'd be noticed. And people involved, we got noticed then, like the weekends.
What was it? It was published on Friday.
But also with that is I'm supposed to publish it, and I had to go reach out to ask, are we not having a meeting on Wednesday? And then it's like, oh yes, it's been up, and I've had no notification either. And then I got a partial, I've got the agenda, but I didn't get the packet.
Well, I guess I'm not real clear why. I'm not clear why you need the packet, because it's already been posted. It's been posted on the web. You can always, exercise some self-help and grab it. But I don't think you have a responsibility under the act to post it.
Yeah, actually I do. And then if it's my job to post the meetings, and if I'm not available, then the supervisor can do it. It's a supervisor's job to create the agenda.
Well, I don't, I'm
So
looking,
you're,
I'm looking at the act now, and you don't have a responsibility to post the meetings like that, or to put the agenda up. It's a meeting of the board has the responsibility, and Supervisor Hewitt as the chair.
okay, well, we'll double check that
That's
because
fine, you can double check. Just like,
Okay, thank you. Now we have a variety of people that I know would like to present and give their some time in I'm gonna stop sharing. I know that there was a few people here online that had some commitments, so I was gonna, frankly, sorry. But I know that in particular, Christine Gerke will give you a chance to speak. And we'll go around in a circle here.
Hi. Diane, is this, you want me to just start with my opening statement? Like my 2-minute?
yeah, we're having trouble hearing you.
Oh,
Stop this or restart it.
Sure. Let me try restarting that one.
Okay.
Sorry.
You're not coming through the main speakers. You're coming through the laptop speakers, which just
Oh.
aren't loud enough for.
I understand.
Okay, can you try that?
Does this sound better? Am I coming through the right way?
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
No, it's not better. Can you try now?
Sure. Can you hear me through your speakers or through the right speakers?
Okay, thank you.
It works?
Yes.
Okay, that's all right. We're used to the whole technical craziness. So you want my 2-minute, okay, just want to make sure I'm in the right spot. Okay, so I'm Christine Gerke. I've been a resident in Naperville township part, obviously, for 24. I've served on the Naperville District 2, actually running for re-election this spring for that position. I'm very interested in the 708 mental health board. From the beginning, when I learned about it, it's clearly been on my radar, and I was very happy to see that Lyle Township residents passed that to make it possible for us. You have my resume, so I just want to highlight 3 things. My experience on the school board has taught me and continues to give me more skills on how to work collaboratively with people across many spectrums, walks of life. I am very proud of my record on the school board in terms of being a consensus builder and making sure all stakeholders feel included in the work that is being done. And that is a skill I can take right over to the 708 board. The other thing I'd like to highlight is my time that I've been a CASA in DuPage County, which is a court-appointed special advocate. That piece brings the perspective of working with kids in the juvenile court system. They're in the court system for various reasons. Many times it's no fault of their own. But what I see there is the needs that those kids and then their families also have. And I see the impact that when they receive those services, what a positive effect it can have on their lives while they're rebuilding their families and then moving forward. And those services are also very important, especially for the kids if they're in foster care or out of their they're not within their actual family unit, with their parents or whatnot. So I see how those different mental health services, whether it's, domestic abuse situations or, depression or anxiety, whatever you want to call, whatever you want to put in the bucket of just mental health, I see the impact and I see the need and the positive that can come from it. And the last thing that is not on my resume, but I want to bring out is what my style of leadership is, or my style. Leadership for me is not necessarily a hierarchical, leaders are up here and then all the information gets pushed down and people go out and do that. I look at it from a collaborative sense. I look at it from consensus building. I want to hear other people's ideas. I like to work with other people. I like the challenge. I like going down rabbit holes with research, going off kind of learning something on my own, but then coming back to that group aspect. And so those things I think can be a positive if I were to be appointed to the 708 board. And there's been a lifelong interest. There was a question on the application about that, and I kind of stumbled because I'm like, it's just always been there for me. I have my one cousin is disabled, and so I've seen the challenges that my aunt and uncle have overcome, and just how we've approached it as a family. And it's, my cousin Michael is just Michael. He's not any different to us, but he has challenges that, as a community, I think of my cousin and what a community can do for somebody and how he can be productive in his community because he has wraparound services, and how that has helped my aunt and uncle, for example. But anytime I've had opportunities, especially with CASA, where we are required to do continuing ed, I'm drawn to topics of mental health and to, again, like when I think of like domestic abuse and survivorship and just those topics are it's just where I gravitate towards. It's probably not the most eloquent answer, but it's the most honest answer I can give you. So I appreciate that you're giving me the opportunity. I hope my application it comes across as somebody who would be an asset to the community through this board. So, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
And trustees, did you have any questions for Christine?
Very impressed with everything that I read.
Thank you, trustee Page and trustee McGovern, and then trustee Robinson. Thank you. Okay, then thank you, Christine, for
Okay.
your time.
All right. Thank you.
And then Audrey Icy is a candidate that we want to give some time to.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys taking the time and opportunity to listen to my story. I've been a Lisle resident literally my entire life, so almost 36 years. And I don't think I'm passionate about mental health because I am, like, it's my core. And I know that sounds really cheesy, but I got my undergrad in health promotion. And while I was getting my undergrad, I got diagnosed with ADHD. And someone told me that, oh, that's just a little boy disease. And in that moment, I took the opportunity to educate them that what happens when you lose something? And they said that they go look for it, they, replace or whatever. I'm like, great. I had an anxiety attack for 3 days and I missed 2 really important meetings with my friends and family because I was a worthless human being, is what my brain told me. And she's like, no one's ever explained that to me before. Like, you stub your toe when you lose something, I break my arm. So I need to go get help. And in that moment, I was like, and she understood it from a different way because it was explained in a different way. I was like, I have to advocate for this because I'm in a place that's healthy for me. And I was the lucky one. And in Lisle, I had a wonderful community, a wonderful support system with everyone here. So I want to be able to provide that as a current resident as well, and as an adult, which is still weird for me to say. So I went on to get my master's in public health. And during research and all this stuff for those papers, I stumbled upon NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness. And I ended up volunteering with them since 2016. So I go to schools, high schools, junior highs, and, you know, educate the youth on it. And then I got hired in 2018, and then I just resigned in 2022 in December. But I've been able to see firsthand how, from the evaluations I get back, that the family to family classes literally saved families. How peer-to-peer, which actually will be held at the Lisle Police Station in January, has helped, again, educate people who are new to diagnoses. Mental health first aid, I'm a youth mental health first aid instructor, and we've had an increase of people coming back because, you know, their family member or their coworker used it. And so I'm not just passionate, like, it's the core of who I am. And I love taking the opportunity, like Christine, going down the rabbit hole and researching it and going and educating and being part of a team that has that same mentality for it. I'm actually going to a school tomorrow to share my story on it. I went from almost failing out of school to getting a master's degree. So, like, just because you have a mental health condition doesn't mean it limits you. And I've seen firsthand how much of an impact that is. And I was so excited when Lisle Township was getting a 708 board, so that we can provide the education and support and advocacy for the people of Lisle Township. So thank you so much for your time and consideration. If you guys have any questions, I would love to answer them.
Thank you, Audrey. Trustee Page,
No questions.
Trustee McGovern, and Trustee Robinson.
Excuse me, I'm just curious, like, Nami, is that a one-on-one? Is there like a group that you can meet with and you collaborate as to how you're gonna approach it? Maybe you can talk a bit more about how you work with other folks in this area.
Yeah, so there's a few different ways that NAMI works. It's a really big collaborative effort as far as volunteers and staff coming together, and then reaching out to host communities to see what they like. One church had a more need to understand anxiety and depression, while one university had a need to understand eating disorders a little bit more, because that's what their students were working on. So it is a big collaborative effort. We have support groups that meet every Wednesday at the community center in Wheaton, and other nights throughout the DuPage County. And then there's also one-on-ones with recovery support specialists or family partnership professionals, which that's a little less collaborating as far as like what the person needs. It's one-on-one. So COD, Elmhurst, St. Francis, and then another community college got a grant from the state. So I'm actually going to be going back to school to become certified in it. But it's kind of, I like to say it's that middle ground between you got a diagnosis and you have to wait 3 months to figure out a psychiatrist, but you have such anxiety of, and it's overwhelming with all the information of even to get that appointment. So I've been down that road. I've been to many different things. I've understood the path of how to find a relationship with the therapist. So I'm there to help you with the steps and get through it. So that's a more one-on-one working with the individual for what their goals are. And then, but in general, it's more of a collaborative effort, if that makes sense.
Great, thank you, appreciate that.
Thank you, Trustee Robinson. Thank you, Audrey. It's been very nice to meet you too. Then I see Rashmi Kumar.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good. Hi, my name is Rashmi Kumar, and I have lived in Naperville since I was 6, so a very long time. And I recently actually graduated from UW-Madison this past year, and I'm currently working as a medical assistant and scribe at a family-owned internal medicine practice. And I'm super excited that the Lisle Mental Health Board has come to fruition, and I would love to be part of the effort to help it blossom, because I think during COVID time especially, there's been such a spotlight on the gaps in mental health and how much of a problem it is in every community, everywhere, and all different types of people. So in the past, I have participated in other mental health and advocacy boards, and I'm really motivated to continue this participation in my community in a cause that I'm very passionate about. And I recently ended my term on the UW-Madison University Mental Health Services Student Advisory Board. And some of the initiatives I was involved in during my time on this board were getting rid of the 10 therapy session limits, which was very difficult for peers around me. Especially during COVID time, and having a mental health care provider or social worker respond to or accompany police to some emergency calls. And I was also involved in the ASM, which is Associated Students of Madison Sustainability Committee, and played a key role in organizing political advocacy events, projects regarding reducing waste production, energy consumption on campus. And then especially as a medical assistant now, I come across patients of almost every age and experience the gaps in mental health on a daily basis. Like, I feel like I do that as my job. And it's shocking how many ways mental health issues impact individuals and their families. And I'm full of ideas on how to help those who are struggling. And I also hope to add to the conversations towards addressing inequality in care for BIPOC, LGBTQ, other disadvantaged communities within our own. And since I have past experience working closely with others and participating in discussions on how to address needs of a community, allocating funds, spreading information, things like that, I think I can be a valuable part of the team. And I've just seen many close to me and also myself struggle with mental health. And I would just be grateful for the opportunity to collaborate with like-minded individuals to do our part to improve the system. Because I think that even if one person benefits, our work will be very, very impactful. Thank you.
Thank you, Rashmi. Trustee Page.
I only had one question jotted down in the margin and you answered it, so thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Trustee Page. Trustee McGovern.
I'm good, thanks.
Trustee Robinson.
No questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rashmi.
Thank you.
Very nice to meet you. Okay, then I don't think anybody else online is needing to speak. So we'll go with people in the audience, and I think maybe if we want to just go with the front row first, and Donna, you could just go around in a circle here.
Okay.
Thank you.
I stand up.
Yes, ma'am. Let me make sure I'm. Let me make sure. There we go.
My name is Donna Professional. Many of you know me because I helped pass the referendum. And I'm committed to making this mental health board a success. What you should know about me, and you probably don't, is that I worked at NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness of DuPage, for 3 years, 2005 through 2008. And my title was resource specialist. I was the person who answered the phone and made referrals. I was unable to take a full-time teaching position because I became the legal guardian and later the executor for my mother. So you could say that I represent the sandwich generation. But I think of myself as representing the Woodbridge community because I've lived there since 1976, virtually most of my adult life. And I don't think I took 2 minutes, but that's great. More time for questions.
Thank you, Donna. Okay, Trustee Page.
No questions, I know you will.
Thank you, Trustee Page. Trustee McGovern.
You said you want to make the mental health board strong and it seems like you have a mission. Can you be a little more specific? Like, how would you start off? What would your first step on this board be? What's a good way
Well,
to?
what I have done so far is look at the other townships' websites and see what they have done. And I would probably copy it, the ones I like anyway. I think one of the first things that will need to be done is to have a mission statement. I think the new board will need training in the Open Meetings Act, because I have been on a school board what do you call them?
PTA
To raise funds.
booster.
Foundation board. You know, and I was the secretary and, you know, and I knew how to do all the stuff, but it wasn't an open meeting, so it's different. And it's different because of COVID, so. And I'm older now. I don't catch on as fast, so I need some help. And I think the other people will also.
Thank you, trustee McGovern. Any other questions? Thank you, trustee Robinson. Okay, then next we have Alexander. I think that's, you're coming to support Donna. Yes. Okay, that's what I thought. And then, sorry, Alexander.
It's a show.
Well, I really don't know if I'm gonna be able to help you guys on this, but let me say this, I've lived in Lisle for 30 years, over 30 years. I've been involved in a private practice here. I've been in practice since 81. Specializing in substance abuse and backgrounds in clinical psychology. I was a consultant, not a consultant, a member of the substance abuse subcommittee that consulted with the Page County Board. I've worked with stewarding the Lisle Woods over here, Hitchcock. Been on the bike pet committee. I became an expert on smoking cessation, biogenetics of addiction, anxiety management. All of that is something that I picked up during the course of all these years that I've been in the field. But I'm a guy who basically has retired 2 years ago. And one of my buddies said, "Oh, you know what? You should do this board." Well, all I saw was 2 to 3 hours of volunteer time. I've got, I think, a pretty broad-based experience in mental health. I don't know, I could maybe help out. I'm kind of fuzzy at this point, I gotta say. But I've got some experience for sure. And that's me.
You've got a lot of experience there. Especially since addictions is one of the main features that the 708 board comes. So thank you so much for coming. Trustee Page,
No question.
trustee McGovern.
I'm sorry, could you please restate your name, sir? Thank you.
Well, and I've
there we
adopted
go. Gotcha.
2 Ukrainian families for the United for Ukraine Fund.
Oh, wow.
So shoved them into the United States.
That is
Doing what?
really amazing and wonderful, sir.
Can navigate that. There's a lot of things that I've done.
Yes, sir.
Well, ammo.
That's always an asset, sir. And then trustee Robinson.
Just curious, more experience in this field. What are those organizations already doing here? What have you seen that's worked well? And what do you think the organizations that consult the health board?
The pathetic thing is that there's not enough funding for staff. They're grossly underfunded and abused. You know, if I were to put a spin on it, I think there's some kind of money that you guys are gonna get. It's to raise salaries and provide state-of-the-art treatment. The people who are in the field are underpaid and they just don't know the science. There's a lot of science in this field. So even though my background is clinical psychology, there's a wealth of advance along medical assisted treatment. That people don't, clinicians on my level are fuzzy on it. They rather go psychological on this, whereas the vast majority of advance in the substance abuse field is biogenetic. Understanding how chemical reserves work and what is going to balance individuals. That is a knowledge base that's really exciting. Nobody's tapping into it very good. I happen to have read a whole lot, so I kind of know a little bit.
Thank you, sir. I see that somebody else had entered this call, and so not to miss you, Yosh, but I know somebody didn't have a whole lot of time and was making a few minutes for us. So Gina Sharp, we're gonna give you some time to.
Hi there.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. I apologize. I'm not there in person. I had several different things going on tonight. So my name is Gina Sharp. I'm a resident here in Naperville, part of the Lisle District. And I'm also the president for Linden Oaks Hospital. And I'm super thrilled that the 708 board got approved by the Lisle Township. I think it's a service, funding services that are going to be tremendously needed for our community. And there is just, I think I would be a great resource for this board to help identify what the community needs are and where to allocate those funds appropriately to help continue to improve access to treatment, to services. I've sat on several different boards, both locally and nationally, related to mental health and substance use, and feel that I could really lend a hand in regards to determining what the structure should look like, how maybe we could identify what are appropriate organizations to donate money to make sure that they have ongoing support to be able to provide ongoing funding for those services and really help shape what the community need is. And I'm open for any questions you might have.
Thank you, Gina. Trustee Page, Trustee McGovern,
No questions at this time.
Trustee Robinson.
No questions.
Thank you so much for giving us a few minutes of your time, and thank you, Gina.
Thank you.
Okay, so back to our audience here with Yosh.
Thank you. My name is Yosh Yamanaka. I'm a resident of part of Naperville, which is also included in the Lisle Township. And I prepared a packet of materials from some of the organizations that I've worked with in the past. And I prepare a few extras if anyone else. Or you can see me after the meeting. Get a shot. So I'm seeking your approval and appointment to serve on the 708 board. I'm retired and have recently relocated from Southern California. So I have the time and interest in serving our community in an area which closely aligns with my previous work. My background includes employment in Los Angeles as a special education teacher for 14 years, as an attorney for 8 years, and as a workers' compensation judge for 16 years. Teaching in special education was as much of a learning experience for me as it was for my students. Students were teenage at-risk wards of the court, and they came to my classroom with a variety of learning disabilities. So it really challenged me to find modalities which would address their problems. My professions have allowed me to serve a variety of nonprofit organizations. One of them was Community Counseling Service, of which I was president, and we provided communal living and counseling services for at-risk youth, transitional housing for dually diagnosed adults, and psychological counseling for the indigent. Also served as secretary of Captive Daughters, which raised public awareness for the tragedy of sex trafficking in the United States, in Nepal, India, and in the Philippines. Presently, I serve as secretary of the Tibetan education advancement mission. And we will be providing workshops in India to upgrade pedagogical skills and provide online resources for our teachers. I'm also secretary of the Dharma Heritage Project, which documents through photography and film endangered Buddhist cultures in Asia. Finally, I am the founder and president of UXO Parents Laos, which has produced a documentary bringing attention to the urgent need to clear the unexploded ordnance, which still litters the countryside. Thank you for your time. Be happy to address any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Yosh. Trustee Page, Trustee McGovern.
Being new to the area, I'm curious about your perspective on what you think the needs in our area. Do you have contact with at-risk youth? Still, I know retirement is.
Actually, I have reached out to volunteer as a tutor at the Illinois Youth Center in Warrenville. I sent in my application and resume in December, then Christmas holiday. I reached out to them again, but they've not responded. But at some point, I would like to tutor working with
I'm glad I asked that question. We have a tutoring program. I'm a teacher and I oversee that.
As a longtime Californian, I've seen homelessness, and it's endemic in both Northern California and Southern California. And of course, when you drive down Maple Boulevard, you see that one. Be safe, son. So I don't know that we have a huge homeless problem. I have been asked to serve in Chicago with an organization that provides housing. We have not had I've not been inducted onto the board yet. They're kind of tied up with other issues, but homelessness is something that I'd like to see us preventing. Because whether you're a renter or a homeowner, you miss one or two paychecks and a landlord or mortgage company comes down on your head, and next thing you know, you're one of the unfortunate ones. So that would be
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. And then Trustee Robinson. Thank you, Yosh. I'm sorry, I have yet to. Okay, Chris, wonderful. And could you?
Hello, I'm Christopher Badio, and I appreciate the opportunity to come speak to you. I have been a Lisle Township resident since 2015, but also grew up here in the area in Woodridge and part of Lisle Township. In contrast to the many other very impressive candidates that come before you today, my skill set is a little different. Some have been advocates, some have been experts in the field. I'm a communicator. I started my career as a journalist, as a newspaper reporter, mainly covering government and boards, much like this one here in Illinois. Then went on to become a government spokesman working with the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture and in a state federal program, and then later in business. I've worked in the professional services space as director of communications and director of marketing for companies like KPMG, GE, and large law firms like Sidley Austin. Did that for more than 20 years. And then I became disabled. My life changed, and I've dialed back my work to some extent, but I'm still in the marketing and communications area. I work part-time from home as a marketing director for a healthcare investment bank. I've had exposure to mental health and healthcare in a number of different ways, both as a patient and also as an advocate. I have two sons, one of whom has a significant developmental disability, and also as a reporter and a businessman. The company I work with now actively advises and invests in physician practices. And so we work with doctors and behavioral health specialists every single day, most of which are not in Illinois. And we don't have any behavioral health interests in Illinois right now, but I believe in this local solution mental health. I'm a student of history, and many of you will know that at one time, we warehoused people with mental health issues in this country. They were out of sight and out of mind, and that changed in the 1960s and 1970s. And part of that change was supposed to be national commitment to community health clinics and community health programs, not dissimilar from this one. It never happened. Money just didn't come up. Now I think trying to solve this problem, better late than never, do something at a local level. That's what I think I bring, to this board if you're interested in having my help. Marketing experience, Washington, D.C. government experience, communications experience, and a passion for the mission. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chris. Trustee Page and Trustee McGovern.
Chris, have you thought of any ideas on how you would market the satellite board?
Well, the first thing I would start with is some kind of survey activity. One of the things that I think is great about boards like this is they take a local approach. And this fine lady here had a really good point of, you looked at other mental health boards websites, and I think that's a really great place to start. But I think also trying to do some outreach and communication survey work of our township to see what do people here think that the greatest needs are, what do the schools think the greatest needs are, what do the police think the greatest needs are, because they're on the front lines. There's a lot of answers we could get. Yeah, sure.
One of the things that a 708 board would have to do in the beginning is a needs assessment. So,
yeah, exactly.
And that's probably where in the budget, when you talk about the loan of administrative money, that's where it comes from, because we're not going to get any money until we make a budget and get it approved by the township board. And then there's a levy, and it's eventually gets collected. So we're probably not going to see money for 2 years.
Right, and it makes sense to me that a needs assessment should be, among the very first place we would start. And then, finding avenues, both in person like this, electronic, online, through the newspapers. I have very good contacts with local and regional newspapers and media outlets to get the word out and tell the story about what we're doing.
Thank you.
And then Trustee Robinson. Thank you, Chris. And then did you have anything or were you, okay, so thank you for coming, as always. And then the gentleman on the end here. Okay, I wasn't sure if okay, and then John.
Thank you to the trustees and Madam Supervisor for this opportunity for reviewing my submitted application. I would especially like to thank the voters of Lyle Township for believing in the benefits of the 708 board. My name is John DeCanto, resident of Naperville in Lyle Township. I'm applying for a 708 board seat because I believe in the mission and focused funding for mental health, substance abuse, and intellectual and developmental disabilities. My goal is for the funds to be a supplement to existing organizations' budgets, not a substitution. I'm applying in honor of my brother, Joseph Evans DeCanto, who died by suicide at the age of 24, just 6 years ago, as a result of his struggle with bipolar disorder. The importance of mental health awareness came too late for our family. My goal is that this 708 board can help families feel hopeful, feel prepared, to feel comfort, knowing resources are being allocated to help. My professional background is in finance. I've worked at a local community bank in Lisle for the last 12 years. And as a result of their confidence in my abilities, I wear many hats. My relevant experience involves reviewing loan requests, analyzing financial statements for consumer and business mortgage loan customers, and making approval recommendations. I create and present reports regularly to management to monitor and analyze the financial health of a multi-million-dollar commercial real estate loan portfolio annually. I also review and create updates to bank policies and procedures. As a 708 board member, I am confident in my ability to evaluate requests for funds, prepare reports, and monitor performance. I look forward to making a positive contribution as a 708 board member that you, the trustees, and you, Madam Supervisor, and especially the residents of Lisle Township will be proud. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, John. And then trustee Page and trustee McGovern,
No question.
and then trustee Robinson. Thank you, John. And then Mr. Trulis.
Hi, my name is Rick Tarulis. I'm a former township supervisor. My interest here would be more in the organization and creation of the board. I've created numerous government units. I'm an attorney, created park districts and other special units of government, created many private businesses. And this mental health board is really kind of a hybrid. It's not really an independent government unit. It doesn't have elected officials or direct taxing power. It's not a sub-body like a committee of the township. It's not a not-for-profit corporation. There's numerous legal issues in how you would organize this board. And I know from experience that you could create a disaster where you could set up an infrastructure where it would take hundreds of thousands of dollars a year before you gave away $1. And so, you know, depending on how you set it up, if you have an employee, if you could run them under the township, you could save so many things like workman's comp and unemployment and separate pensions and health insurance and employee manuals. You set up a separate independent body and you hire one person, it's going to be so inefficient that you'll have to have one person to administer the other. You'll be subject to Open Meetings Act, the Freedom of Information Act, the Public Fund Investment Acts, and the personnel policy. So my interest would be in how you organize, how you bank, how you audit, how you set up personnel, how you set up facilities. And, you know, I've got experience with mental health. I do special needs trusts. I've probably done hundreds of special needs trusts for parents with disabled children. I work with those families and try to maximize those kids' resources. I got a kid who's a homeless, unemployed drug addict who's in his 40s. So I got some, you know, direct experience. I don't have any answers. I don't think money is the answer. You know, there's a lot of money between all of the different not-for-profits and government units and everybody who works on trying to solve this problem. I don't know what the answer is. So that's not my expertise on who to give money to or what facility or what program. Nothing I've ever done to help my kid. But I do have a lot of skill and expertise in the legal and the financial and the organizational issues, and that's would be my interest.
Thank you. Thank you. And then trustee Page,
No questions.
trustee McGovern,
Thank you. No questions.
and then trustee Robinson. Thank you, Mr. Trulis. And then we have Stephen.
Thank you, Diane, and thank you, board members, and everybody else. My name is Stephen Davis. I've been a resident of Lisle Township since 2004. I'm coming at it from a different avenue. I have years of experience working on various IT projects. So, you know, I don't want to rehash what I wrote down in the resume. I would look at this from a point of view of a project management. As Chris and Helen mentioned, we need a needs assessment. We need to identify, meet with the stakeholders, see who is impacted and what their needs are. Not what I think their needs are, but what are their needs? Talk to the police, talk to employers, churches, civic organizations, schools. Find out what exactly is needed. Then, once we know what is being asked of us, we can set and prioritize goals. Now we know where we're going. You know, maybe Lyle Township has certain avenues to address in one area, which is totally different than Bloomingdale Township, who recently implemented their own 708 board. So then from that would be step 2 in project management, is to set and prioritize goals. Once we have our goals set, now we can work on how we're going to deliver. How are we going to deliver these services to the people in our community, our folks, our neighbors who need them? What, you know, there's a certain amount of services that are already available, but not too much right here in this area. There's stuff in Wheaton. I think the NAMI headquarters is in Wheaton. So we've got our deliverables. Now we know what we're gonna do. Now we create our project timeline. When are we gonna get it done? What can we get done by this date, that date? And we set goals so that we can measure our progress. So that's the approach that I would take. And again, before we get up to speed, we need to take a look. I looked at the Berwyn mental health website, you know, and I believe there's like 90 mental health boards in the state of Illinois. And we want to look at the best practices. I believe Diane also mentioned the Association Community Mental Health Authority of Illinois. Sorry. But anyway, Berwyn, we need to understand the statutory requirements of the 708. We need to understand open meeting acts. I mentioned that. We need the FOI, the Freedom of Information Act. So we've got a lot of homework to do before we even get started. In closing, I've outlined some of my thoughts on a possible approach to providing the services that we need. I'm also aware of the services that are, some of the services that are currently available in this, in our community, as a result of trying to find these services for my daughter, who's been schizoaffective disorder. And so I know that one need, but that's only one time. So thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Trustee Page, Trustee McGovern,
No questions, thank you.
and then Trustee Robinson.
Yeah, just talk a little bit more about the page, page United, and what you do with that group.
Page United is a community organizing activism group. It's basic. It's a member of the IAF, Industrial Areas Foundation, which is a group based on various churches and denominations and religious organizations. So that was a basis and it's been around for gosh, 70 years. Our chapter here in DuPage has worked on, we have some core issues. One of them is mental health. And our big goal for doing that is to implement a crisis stabilization unit in DuPage County, which would be to divert people away before they get to the ER, before they get to the jails. So that we can provide, CSU provides crisis assistance for a certain period. Aurora just broke ground or implemented one a couple months ago. I believe there's another one in King County. So that's our goal. There's a few in Chicago. So that's a mental health goal. We're also looking at affordable housing. We have one project that very active and it's not just affordable housing, it's called ASH, affordable assisted supported housing. So it doesn't, it provides, I forget who the provider is, but it provides not just affordable housing, but a place for people who need some kind of assistance, maybe some disabilities. And it also needs to be close to the various services, grocery stores. I mean, you can't just be out in boondocks and then you've isolated folks. You can't do it. That's the two main areas that DuPage United is working on. Again, it's a group of religious institutions.
Thank you, Stephen. Then Paula.
It's really good to see all of you again. I haven't been back here in a while. I'm the coach of the chair of the Lyle Township Food Pantry Garden, so I haven't been back here for a while. But I really appreciate you taking the time tonight and thinking of me perhaps as a candidate for the 708 board. My name is Paula Deacon Garcia. My current position right now is county board member for District 2. Just got reelected to that. My experience with mental health, the one thing that I want to maybe bring forth that a lot of people haven't is one thing I want to see with this 708 board is that we break the stigma. We have to start talking about mental health. In my family alone, I've had mental health issues. For my brother who had addiction issues with alcohol, who died in a car accident when he was 25 because of it. My son who's dealing with it. So I'm also dealing with a son who has a lot of issues. I've actually been to some of the family here and the peer groups with Donnie and things like that, trying to help him out with that. So I have a lot of experience with that. In terms of the DuPage County board experience that I have actually been on the DuPage County Health Department twice. They've appointed me twice, so I've been dealing with them. And so I think it would be good to have me on the board of the 708 here, because I think I'd be a good coordinator between what they're doing there. They're going to be, I believe, having a mental health ad hoc committee formed. And so I'll be a good coordinator between the 708 here and there to see where we're going. We are going to be building a crisis residential center. That is something that's coming to DuPage County very soon. So good to know. We just got more money given to us from U.S. Representative Caxton for that. So we're very excited to see that coming. So watch that. So I can go on and on about what I've done and in terms of my county board experience. But I think that's right now, everybody's had a chance to talk. And my big thing is I want to break the stigma. And I think we can do that by getting all of these committees that are out there that are helping people out in the open and giving them some help to help people so that we can finally get the help these people need so desperately. So thank you.
Thank you, Paula. And then Trustee Page, and then Trustee McGovern.
No questions. Thank you.
And Trustee Robinson. And I just also want to thank you for all of your work in the garden every year for how many years?
7. This is we'll start our 7th. Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
You've really helped to feed a lot of people.
Hi, my name is Victoria Fryer. I've lived in the community for about 35 years. I've raised all 4 children here. This is my first meeting, and so I'm a nurse by profession for over 40 years. I'm a psychiatric nurse, and I have been working at Williams Hospital for the past 25 years in a variety of roles. I'm also a trained suicide prevention educator. We work with NAMI and try to help our patients reintegrate and let them know that they are more and go along with the stigma. They're not just a diagnosis, they are people that have a mental illness, and that for us is, for all of us is very important. Besides professionally, I have a daughter that she needs treatment from me when she was a teenage young adult. And I really do appreciate everybody here talking about mental health and mental illness, because as we know, I think that this is a diagnosis that people were ashamed of and didn't talk about it, and it wasn't open. And if you want to look at the pandemic, I think that the pandemic has really done is brought this forward to say that we really do have a mental health crisis, and people need treatment, they need easy access to their treatment. It's amazing how we did everything in person and we immediately flipped to doing, meetings and counseling online. And that really, I do think, has allowed those that couldn't get treatment to be allowed some options also. So that's why I'm here, to learn more about what this board could do and what I can do as a parent and also as a professional.
Thank you. Trustee McGovern and Trustee Robinson. Thank you, Victoria. Okay, then we've heard all the presentations. And so at the next board meeting, at the start of the board meeting, we will be appointing the next board. So thank you so much. Sure.
I didn't have any questions because there's an old saying that goes, let your audience think you're an idiot, lest you open your mouth and confirm that you are. So I didn't want to ask any stupid questions, but in going over your resumes and your questionnaires, I'm beyond impressed with everybody. And something that we all seem to have in common is that it affects every single one of us, doesn't it? Right? 17 years ago, I'm in the ER with somebody, a loved one who needed help, and they can't help you. They do their best, but they can't help you. They give you a bottle of Xanax and they send you on your way, And in 2017, my son, in his super senior year at college, he lived in an apartment that he shared with 3 other strangers, and one of the roommates, not even 2 weeks into the school year, took his life in the apartment next to my son's, and nobody knew about it for nearly 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Okay. No family reached out, nobody. We learned then the University of Illinois had a phenomenal mental health service for anybody who reached out, right? But we need that here. We need that in our community. And I'm just impressed with all of you, and it's going to be a hard choice. Thank you.
Anything else from the trustees?
Thank you so much.
And really, this is, I think, a league of, and really a difference in how the people in Lowell Township will be cared for. And I think with your help, and with the passing of the 708 board and the development of it, they'll be given a safety net that did not exist a year ago. And so thank you for your interest, and we will keep you all posted as to what everything is going next. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to it.
Thank you, Trustee Page, and then seconded by
Second.
Trustee McGovern, and then any discussion? And then a roll call vote, Clerk Polowitz.
Trustee McGovern,
Yes.
Trustee Page.
Yes.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt.
Yes, we're adjourned, and we'll see you all, or most of you all, I'm sure, next week. Thank you.
Thank you all.